Well, are you guys gonna make up or what?
I don't know, is your pet gonna shoot me in the face again?
No, but he can hurt you in other ways.
There most likely won't be a ban list until after Extreme Force has been out for a while.
Alright guys, so we have been under the same ban list since November 5th, 2017, which is now last year, which is crazy. Like, 2017 went by way too fast. But that ban list was very anticlimactic. I mean, it was a pretty good list. It did more or less what it needed to. It kind of accomplished what it tried to do. And what I mean by that is the list really only hit spirals. We had, you know, the machine duplication targets go to 1, so there's no more machine duplication targets. And then we had set rotation go to 1 and go food go to 1. And go food going to 1 kind of hurt everybody because go food's just a really good standalone card, but it was kind of necessary for it to go to 1. Like, it's a good 1 card play, you know what I mean? But that's all it really needs to be. It doesn't need to be like this consistent 1 card play that you get all the time, so it going to 1 was completely necessary. Overall, I'm not complaining about the November 5th list, guys. I think it was actually, for what it needed to be, I think it was a good list. I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, how can it be a good list unless a bunch of stuff came off? Well, that doesn't always constitute a good ban list, guys. A bunch of stuff getting banned or a bunch of stuff coming off the ban list doesn't really necessarily make a good ban list. A good ban list really needs to be defined by what it does to even out what people are currently playing. What does any given list do to even out the current metagame? And if it does a good job of that, now that to me is what defines a really good ban list. And the November ban list, even though spirals are still very, very powerful, I still consider that November ban list as being a pretty decent list. It's not the best ban list we've ever had. It's not the worst ban list we've ever had, but it was a really good list. It did its job of hindering spirals somewhat, because spirals, yeah, they definitely were tier 0. It wasn't even fair. But trying to predict what a good ban list would be, or trying to even just predict what cards will be on a ban list, seems like it's getting harder and harder. But nevertheless, I'm gonna try to predict what our next ban list might be, and I can tell you right now, it won't be until way after Extreme Force has been out for us for a long time. We have to see what kind of impact that set is going to have. And that's gonna be my first point, guys. We will not be getting a ban list until Extreme Force has been out for a long time, and we see what kind of impact pendulums are gonna make. I think pendulums, guys, I haven't even gotten into the hand traps yet. This video is already... Whew, okay. So hand traps are really good, right? We all acknowledge that hand traps are good. Ash Blossom's a fantastic card. Gamma's a fantastic card. Well, Pendulum Magicians and just pendulums in general are getting a really, really broken card in the form of Electromite in the next set in Extreme Force, and I feel like that's gonna send pendulums over the edge, guys. I know a lot of people have been, you know, calling for more spiral hits and stuff. I really think the spirals are gonna be the last of our worries, guys. I think that pendulums are gonna rise up with Electromite, not to mention, you know, all the other cards that are coming out in the set. I feel like pendulums are just gonna take us by storm. I really do. I feel like Pendulum Magicians are super, super consistent. They're getting a really good pendulum monster that opens up more zones, and it's just a really powerful monster on its own. And so I feel like Pendulum Magicians are gonna really come up. I mean, they're already, you know, a tier 1 deck. I mean, they're really, really good, and they're really consistent, like I said. So I feel like with Electromite, they're gonna make that, they're gonna take that extra step into being just that much better, and I feel like that's gonna play a huge part in our next ban list. This ban list I'm currently trying to predict, because right now our first 2018 ban list, guys, like I said a minute ago, is not going to be, it's gonna be out like way in the future. It's not gonna be in January this month. It's probably not even gonna be in February. I mean, if it is gonna be in February, it's probably gonna be like later February, like March if we get it. So long story short, guys, Extreme Force is gonna have a huge impact on our metagame, and not just with Electromite. Electromite's probably going to have the most impact because of pendulums, you know, and Pendulum Magicians mainly, but Metal Foes and other pendulum decks are going to be able to use this card because all it needs is 2 pendulum monsters to make. So now getting into the hand traps. Oh god. Okay, so what do we do about hand traps? Well, Ash Blossom, like I've stated in previous videos where I've gone over just talking about hand traps, I feel like Ash Blossom, I know a lot of more rogue players are going to hate me for saying this, but Ash Blossom, it really is a necessity. I know it sucks going up against the card when you're playing an older deck and you kind of need every single card in your hand. I know it sucks to get ashed, okay? I've tried playtesting older decks. Sometimes, you know, when I'm playing Cyber Dragons, Ash does really screw me. I've been there. We've all been there, you know, trying to play the deck that we love and, you know, try to, you know, make it competitive and be able to at least, you know, compete. That's what we like doing. But even though Ash Blossom has more of an impact against more rogue decks, like it actually has a huge impact against more rogue decks, because that one summon or that one search is pretty big. It's pretty important for rogue decks. But you have to understand, guys, Ash Blossom is very important for you to be able to not lose going second, okay? Going second in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a very controversial topic, you know, going first, going second. Winning the die roll is very, very important because choosing going first and going second really does determine the outcome of a duel, depending on what your deck is. If you're playing an evenly matched going second deck, for example, and you lose the die roll and your opponent is playing the same style of deck and you're forced to go first, you can see where your opponent has kind of an advantage over you. Or vice versa, where you and your opponent are both playing a going first deck and you lose the die roll and you end up going second. You can definitely see how your opponent is at an advantage, and at a huge advantage at that. So having a really powerful hand trap like Ash Blossom to be able to counter your opponent on their first turn so that you just don't lose to this fully established, this huge board or whatever their deck does is really great. Ash Blossom is a fantastic card. It really sadly is a necessary evil. I know rogue players are going to hate me for saying that, but it is an absolute necessary evil in Yu-Gi-Oh! It really is. I just hate that it's a secret rare. That's it. That is it. I really don't see any hand trap going anywhere, guys. I don't see Reaper getting hit. I don't see Ogre getting hit. I especially don't see Ash getting hit. I really don't, even though Ash is debatably the best out of all those. It really depends on what deck you're going against and stuff. But even though it's the best one and the most powerful, it's not going anywhere, guys. It's really not. It is just a complete and necessary evil. And if you guys look at all the hand traps and go, well, those won't get hit, but Gamma will, because Gamma will bring out Omega, I don't see that happening either, because Gamma is a necessary evil to be able to counter hand traps. Since you can activate an Ash, you know, on your opponent's first turn, they should be able to activate a Gamma and be able to counter you right back. It's just fair. The fact that it brings out an Omega is just kind of like, I mean, it is a little broken, but it's just kind of, I just consider it innovative, really. I just really consider that innovative. I consider that like a consequence. I mean, if your opponent's got the counter, like if you Ash them and your opponent's got the counter, I feel like that's just kind of a natural reward. You know, I feel like the Omega coming out off of the Gamma, you know, for them having the counter, I feel like that counter is just kind of this reward for having it. I don't know how else to word it. And now for Max C, guys. Max C, as much as I would love it to come back to 3. I'm on that side of the fence that thinks it should be at 3 or at 0. I'm more leaning towards it being at 3, but realistically, it should be at 0. I don't know. Like, there's the part of me that thinks that Max C should come back to 3 because, you know, special summoning and going second, you know, and every single basic arguments that I've ever given when it comes to hand traps and stuff, just insert those arguments here. I don't feel like repeating myself. At the same time, though, I could see the card staying at 1 because it's kind of fair at 1, but realistically, I think the card belongs at 0. I really do. I think that the card is just that powerful on its own, just like Vanity's Emptiness. For example, I feel like it's just that, it can be that impactful in a duel on its own, then it should go to 0, but that's just my opinion, guys. It can stay at 1. Like, I think it's fine at 1 as well. And as I touched on a minute ago, guys, going first or going second, or in other words, winning the die roll in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very, very important. And we have a new structure deck, a new counter fairy structure deck coming out, where the deck in it wants to win the die roll every single time because it's counter fairies. It wants to go first. It wants to win and set all of its traps and make sure that you can't do anything at all. So on top of Extreme Force coming out, we have that structure deck coming out, guys. And as we saw with Monarchs, I mean, I don't know how influential or how powerful this structure deck is going to be. I don't know how powerful, you know, the decks that are going to come out of it, you know, what people are going to build out of it and everything. It might be our next Monarch deck, guys. It might be our next, you know, really powerful, you know, anti-meta deck that ends up getting hit on the ban list. We have no idea what kind of impact a build, you know, a really good build from these structure decks is going to have. We have no idea. So far I've stated that I don't think anything is really going to happen with spirals because pendulums are going to be very powerful. I think that Extreme Force is going to have a huge impact on our metagame. I feel like the counter fairy structure deck, whatever it's called, is going to have a huge impact on our metagame, and I feel like our hand traps are going to be touched. So what do I think is going to happen with this ban list? And really, I don't feel like a whole lot of anything is going to happen, like I stated a little bit ago, until we know the full results, until we see the full impact that Extreme Force and that, you know, just everything, like, until we see how everything unfolds in our metagame, you know, to see if some sort of tier 0 deck comes out, or see if we just have 2 decks that are way better than just everything else. We need to wait and see if, what rounds out and what happens before we make any sort of, rash decisions on what is going to be occurring on that ban list. But I will say this, guys, if Konami really wanted to shake things up, what they would do is they would just make Spirals completely unusable and like every other deck completely unusable but Pendulums, and then when this new set comes out with Electromite and stuff, like they would sell a bunch of boxes because Pendulums would be the best deck. It'd be insane. Like Pendulum Magicians would be just way broken. I truly feel that way, guys. I feel like Pendulum Magicians are just that consistent and stuff and can play that many hand traps without hindering themselves to where they would just be leaps and bounds better than everything else. But I seriously do not see Konami doing that whatsoever. I think they want to keep the players a little bit happy. I mean, just a little bit happy. So I think that what's going to happen is exactly what I said. Is I feel like what is going to happen is that nothing's really going to happen until we see what happens. I feel like this video is just me saying that over and over in different ways. But in closing, guys, as much as I would like a new ban list, right now, or just, more ban lists more frequently and stuff so that I can continue to play the decks that I want, it's just not practical. Konami has to sell product, guys. They have to sell new stuff, and we can't be playing decks. They can't be having us all play decks from 10 years ago. We need to keep the card sales coming so that, Yu-Gi-Oh can continue. And since that is the case, guys, I feel like the best option for Konami as far as a ban list goes would be to just wait, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing until it comes out. Subscribe.